Okay, we are back with another Kutasa healing talk, and we continue our conversation about the ancient teachings that were lost to the masses and are being brought back at this time. And today's subject is to live in the sacredness of forgiveness and gratitude. Very cool subject. Can't wait what's come of this. My name is Helmut. I am here again with our friends Laura Kitty and Laura Philpott. Hi, guys. And Kay Cordell Whitaker. Hi, Kay.
Hi.
And Kay is the author of The Reluctant Shaman and Sacred Link and the newly released book, The Weavings, Dawn of a New World, in which she writes in depth about these ancient teachings. And let's dive into it. Oh, before we dive into it, if you want to help the channel, like, subscribe, comment, share. If you have questions about anything, put them in the comments. We will get to them. And I guess now we're ready. Enjoy.
Okay, this is one of my favorites, and it starts at the very beginning. It's the first things that the teachers teach. It's like the beginning of level 1. And the very first thing that they talk about is our song. And that's our beingness, our totality, uh, our spirit, our mind, emotions, body, physical body, everything all together as one thing, our totality. And the Hedekas use the word song as a poetic reference, a poetic way to say something about who and what we are, the beauty and um, the the music, the magic, the love that the song is, and what it feels like, what it gives and it receives from the world. And in these teachings, we always say that everything in our universe is alive. Everything is alive. Everything is conscious. And it's conscious, it's thinking, it's feeling, it's emoting, it's in its own way, it's emotions, it's alive, it's living life in its own ways and patterns. And we're all connected. Everything, every song out there, everything has a song because it's all alive and it's conscious and it's unique, and it's a unique individual piece of creator. And we are connected. We're so deliciously connected to everything in this universe. Every sub micro molecule, subatomic particle, everything. And we have that ability to feel it, to experience it, to communicate, both verbally and spiritually. And that's why we say these teachings have been lost. This big piece of spiritual teachings on this earth has been so very lost to so many people for so many millennia. And that's the sacred part. The part that is non-linear. It's non-material. It's spiritual. And it has to do with the feelings of things. Feelings. We've lost so much of what we're supposed to be able to feel. The ancient pre-flood Egyptians, pre-flood, this is way, 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 way back, they had a saying that there was 360 senses in the human body, in our beingness. 5 of them are physical, the rest are non-linear. And we've lost so much of the non-linear. It's not that they're gone forever, it's just that we turned away from them. We learned how to diminish our our sensory, spiritual sensory talents, gifts, those senses. And we've diminished our physical senses. We work really hard to not pay attention to them and to drown them out. Like in the modern world today, with a sense of smell, we we don't want to smell much of anything. We don't, we don't like the nuances, and we don't pay any attention to the information that's coming with the smells. And this used to be for our ancestors. Um, this was a matter of life and death. You got to pay attention to all your senses and hype them up and be really, really, really aware of your surroundings and what's happening out there. And look at what we're doing to that today. We ignore so much, and we do things to drown out all these different smells around us. And in the meantime, we're trying to drown it out with perfumes and perfumed products. So much so that you walk into a room that's people have been in that have been wearing these perfumed products, and it smells not just in the room, but all the way down the hall and all the way out the door and into the parking lot. You could smell that same smell. They drown themselves in these neurotoxins that smell really, really strong, and they tell themselves that it's very pretty and it's very sexy, and it's got pheromones in it or something, and it's going to at, attack, uh, get you to attract more and more, really great sexual partners and and be really wowie zowie. And all it's doing is killing your nerves, killing the nerves in your nose and your brain and your whole body. And that's only one set of products that's doing all that kind of damage. And when we come to a subject like the sacredness, the incredible sacredness, it's like the holiness, divineness, cosmic divineness, godliness of something like gratitude or forgiveness. These two things are taught from the very beginning, and they're very, very, very important. We have a special gratitude ceremony that has a lot of variations. Everybody, when they're doing it by themselves, has their own speed and how much they put into it, how many different details and their language, and same with the forgiveness ceremony. It's a little more um, rigid with the ancient style of progression of what you do, but everybody has their own way of doing it. And the biggest thing about these two ceremonies is its non-linearness, the sacredness, the spiritualness of it. We have so much of our personal selves as a human that is nonlinear and spiritual. Way far, far, far more of us is this in this nonlinear form than it is in its physical form that we're used to, that we see, that we call ourselves. That's me, that's us, that's you. The Egyptians had a really nice way to describe this, and it's with the cat goddess Bast. And her hieroglyph is like so many of those really ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs. Some of them were used as vowels, but they were also used as syllables, and they were also used as whole words. And some of them were also used as like a whole book, not, not just a paragraph or two, but literally a whole book. And this hieroglyph of Bast is one of the older ones where it's like you could write at least one whole book, maybe a bunch of volumes on the same glyph and what it means and all of its levels. But I'll give you the what they teach you in the first level, this first basic concept. Now the shape of the hieroglyph, it's got a curved line at the top, kind of like the horns of a cow, that where their horns are going up like this, or sometimes it's described as a crescent moon. And then under the crescent moon, touching it at the bottom, is this square, this long, well, rectangle. It's a rectangle squared off 90-degree angles, goes down a little bit, and it has a floor at the bottom. This part, the curved part, the horns, the crescent moon, that is a womb. The uterus, it's a uterus. It's a womb of the universe. And here it's talking about her as an individual, Bast as the goddess, as are humans. This is the womb. This is the most important. It's on top, and it's open-ended. It's endless. It's just, it goes on. It holds eternity. It holds infinity. Absolutely endless. The little square or the rectangle at the bottom, that is a male symbol. This curved line and this womb, that's a female, the female element. Rectangle, male element. And here it's representing the male phallus. And you have the male phallus is coming towards the womb. There's the womb coming towards the phallus, and they're touched. They're in union. And it's this way. The womb on top and the phallus underneath there, they are in union. And it does mean sexual union, but mostly it means how our physical parts of ourselves and then the non-physical parts of ourselves, the spiritual parts of ourselves, are tied together. They're so deeply tied together, and they're continuously creating. They're in union. Yeah. They live in a state of this connectedness. It's representing also not just her as an individual, a person, a goddess, but the universe. We have the endless nonlinear spiritual universe, and we have this little male element. The physical is really little. The physical part of the universe is really, really small compared to all things that are nonlinear and spiritual in the universe. So as above, so below. The universe is that way. Bast is that way. The humans are that way. The animals are that way. The plants are that way. The rocks are that way. The water is that way. Everything, everything. So when we talk about things that are sacred and we talk about things that are spiritual, this is what we mean. We mean this non-linearness, this multidimensional non-linearness, where the ancestors from all over the planet have always said, this is where the gods come from. This is where the spirits come from. This is where they live. This is the element they live in. When we do our ceremonies or a prayer or a gratitude ceremony or forgiveness ceremony, we go into a trance. We go into this very peaceful, at least an alpha state, brainwave state, maybe theta brainwave state. And if you do it for a long time, you really are getting deep in it. You could get into the delta state as well, and that's a very deep trance. And when we are in those altered, slowed down brainwave states, we're slowed down from the beta. Beta brainwaves are what we do every day, and we're going to work, and we're just going, very alert and paying attention and doing. That's beta. And when you settle down into alpha, that's rest and soothing and not so much of the babble that quiets down and goes away. And you begin to feel and hear and see and touch and taste and smell things that are nonlinear. The Egyptians talked about that 360 spirit senses. At least 5 of them tend to mimic the physical senses somewhat, so that we can, it's a way of connecting the physical and the non-linear, so that we can perceive a bigger package of what the physical is trying to represent. This is how blind people can learn how to see things around them. They can learn how to read without braille. I mean, read the print. And they've been teaching kids how to do that, to be in the dark and running their fingers maybe over the print, maybe not, maybe just looking at it and looking with their spirit eyes, looking at what is written there. They've read whole books looking that way. So when we talk about doing spiritual things and sacred things, we're talking about lowering those brain waves and settling ourselves down to a quiet, smooth state that can reach out into the nonlinear. If all we're doing is running around with the beta brain waves and doing, and it's going, we'll never reach the spiritual level. We won't perceive it. Everything that's non-linear like that, we just won't be able to perceive it. We block it out. We're blocking it out. And for millennia, we've been blocking out all these different feelings, all these different experiences. And gratitude and forgiveness and love and beauty. These are the big things that we've lost the meaning of. in our culture, our modern culture. We give lip service. We we say those words when we think we're supposed to, when it's supposed to be appropriate, and we think we have an idea of what it means. We we don't pay attention to what it feels like, and we that's where we need to go as a whole culture, as a whole species. We need to learn how to feel all these things, from the physical into the emotional, even the mental. The mental is there as a tool, not a leader. And of course, the spiritual level of things. What does that feel like? We have the capacity to do that, to feel all those things, 360 different kinds of spirit senses, of feelings. So with gratitude, when we're doing a real gratitude, when we really tune into what it is, we've blocked out, we just let it settle and leave all this noise of the modern culture, this mental noise, this noise around us. Maybe if you have some very soothing musics, quiet, that might help you. Sometimes real quiet is what you need. And try not to think of what you're supposed to feel or what you're supposed to be or do or what you should be doing. Oh my God, I've got the taxes to finish. No, just let that be at tax time, and let this be the feeling time, the time to find your wholeness. So gratitude, that's one of the most beautiful things in the world. And it fills your heart, it fills your whole body, your energy field. And it's this feeling. It's hard to describe feelings with our language, but it's this giant, overwhelming stuffing your whole self full of it. It's so delicious. This gratitude, this thankfulness to whatever it could be, to the universe, to the field, to the sun, to the sky, to Mother Earth, to your mate, to your children, to the universe for being able to have your children and they're still alive, and you have a good relationship, you hope, with them. And how do you develop a better one? And you feel this intense gratefulness, this thanks for all these different things. Either you could give thanks to it all at once and try to feel it all at once, or you can single the different things out one at a time and get to feel what that feels like the sun. A real ancient ceremony all over the world, almost every single ancient culture and the primitive cultures of today. They do this every day, most of them at the beginning of the day, at the sunrise. They get it before the sunrise, and they watch the sunrise, and they have a gratitude ceremony, and they give thanks to the sun for all the things that it has ever given to me and to us and to everything else, to the earth, to the plants, to the animals, on and on and on. And you feel your connectedness to everything, all these plants, all the animals, to the earth, to the sun. You feel more about who the sun is, what the sun is, what it's been doing, how it's been feeding us, feeding and nourishing and teaching for so long. And we'll continue to do that for an awful long time more. And feeling incredibly thankful for that and the continuance of your own life, your life of the ones you love. It happens because of the sun. So in this ceremony, they have this huge love, this huge thanks that just fills their energy, their energy field, their spirit, their emotions, their physical body. It's tangible. You could feel it in your physical body. It is so beautiful. And the same with the forgiveness ceremony. It's a very different kind of ceremony. And it could be shorter, it could be longer. Same with the gratitude ceremony. It just depends on how the individual's going to do it at that moment. But the forgiveness ceremony, we're noticing our connections to others and other humans, other places on this planet, other pieces of time that have been in our lives, these different periods. And we notice our chakras, and we're connected to all of this deeply. And if you ask, you can perceive the connection as a cord. And you look at all your different chords, and a lot of them are going to be in fairly healthy condition, sometimes real healthy. And that's the kind of energy and love and interaction that's going between you and something else, someone else. And you just give thanks to all of that, but you're hunting for something that's kind of dark and sick and broken, clogged up. Maybe it looks a little bit like it's burnt to, to little nubules. You find the ones that are damaged and you follow the cord. You just follow it, follow it, follow it. And when you get to the end, it's going to be somebody, might even be you, but it's usually somebody else that was been in your life in some way where there was not good interaction. There was some bad energies sent back and forth. That's why the cord looks that way. It looks damaged, burnt, because of the bad energies. And you sit with that cord and that person, and you forgive them. You well up that love from the universe, from your song, from deep inside you, that the love that is you, and you want to forgive them. This doesn't mean you're condoning any kind of bad behavior. It doesn't mean that you don't think some sort of punishment or something might be appropriate should come their way. But this is forgive. It's the same way in the Egyptian language, the old Egyptian language. Forgive means before the giving of the injury. That's what it means, before the giving of the injury. You want to find your love, you want to find your song and your pureness and how you were, how that part of you was before the giving of the injury. And fill yourself with that. Fill yourself with that. It means you don't want to live the way that you were with the hate and the fear and the anger and the disruption and resentment and all the nasty stuff that was in that cord that you've been dragging around with you. It's been weighting your shoulders down and your body down and your mind and everything, clunking along, dragging this boulders. You don't want to live like that. You want to live the way you were before the giving of the injury. And so you talk to whoever is at the other end of the cord and ask for forgiveness. I forgive you. Will you forgive me? Can we go back to a good relationship that was there before the giving of the energy, the bad energy? That's what it's all about. Giving love, allowing the receiving of the love with no conditions, no nastiness anywhere, no nasty pictures and feelings of anything. They all disappear. That's why these two ceremonies are considered so, so, so important. Right up there with the song ceremony. They kind of all go together. And we do these ceremonies, these gratitude and the forgiveness ceremonies and the song ceremonies over and over and over, over and over and over and over. Sometimes we were able to forgive halfway to this one black cord. We got half of it done. We just can't muster up any more at this time. That's okay. Be thankful for what you got. Give thanks for what you've got. And you'll be doing this forgiveness ceremony again later. Another day, another time. And you'll find that cord again, and you can work on it some more and give some more forgiveness. And eventually they'll all be healed. All the cords, all those injuries, all that damage, those will all be healed. And what goes between you and what's at the end of the cord is beautiful and clean and full of love and gratitude, lots of forgiveness, lots of happiness. So that's why we insist. Those ceremonies. And one of the biggest things about Kutasi and these ancient teachings from Peru, pre-flood Peru, this means a whole different kind of culture than we're used to, because with the flood it got washed away, and a lot of it forgotten, but not all of it. Some of it has been passed down. So pre-flood Peru and Egypt, and this knowledge of them and their descendants through the ages. I do mean ages, millennia, and seeing where humanity has gone repeatedly. And we've taken this road where we're just going down, 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 down. And we're coming to the end of a world. And the world around us, the culture around us is disintegrating. It's crumbling, it's dying. And it's time to build a new world. And that's what their teachings are all about. You got to dream the dream of the new world. And to be able to do that, you got to know what your song is. You've got to know what gratitude really is and what love really is and what forgiveness really is. It's this full level of experience, of spiritual experience. And that's the bigger part of us, like the symbol of Bast. And we got to pay attention to it. We haven't paid attention to it for a really long time. And we let the knowledge get buried, and now it's time that it's turning around, and we see it coming back, and it'll come back really big and really strong to build a very, very wonderful, beautiful new world. So what do you all have to say to your experiences, to those things?
You want to go first, or shall I? Well, it's really easy to get lost in our challenging at times and hectic world. I was excited to do the forgiveness ceremony. I'll just talk about that one first. And I thought, oh, I had already gone through and taken care of all those things before I started Kutasa practice stuff. Like, I'm not going to get in there and find anything. Yeah, it was funny. I got in there and I was like, wow, who would have known? But, I also want to speak to what I experienced after. So here I get in there, and there are all these cords to various different people and things and events. And I just methodically sent them love and cleared them. And what I noticed afterwards, it was like I was, and how do I describe this? Oh, maybe like an hourglass. Like, I'm on one side of the hourglass, and all these other people and things are on the other side, and they're like jamming that making it a tiny hole for energy. And when I cleared out those cords, it was like it freed up so much life energy. It took a weight off me. I feel like I had so much more energy and more focus and more awareness. And gosh, even if it was just one of those things, no, but it had all those things, was the benefit of help clearing out those things that need to be forgiven and just let go of. And it was almost like a letting go of holding on to a bunch of stuff that wasn't serving me in any way. So that was my first experience of the forgiveness. And, I have done it multiple times, and there is some ick that comes in every once in a while thinking, I'm not going to find very much. Oh, heck no. There's always something that needs to be cleared and healed and forgiven and let go of. So yeah, the forgiveness ceremonies, it just brings so much love after you clear all that out. It's just it's like it's opening a doorway to that. And then that's I'll talk about gratitude since I came first. Gratitude, the gratitude ceremony for me feels like it's total access to my awareness. Where when I start going over the things that I'm grateful for, and not grateful in a way that, oh, I'm grateful this didn't happen, and that I'm grateful that I have these wonderful things in my life. It's actually putting my attention on the sacredness of the things that are around me, and the unconditional love that's around me. It's so it feels like it's access to my awareness, which is actually the doorway to unconditional love. At least that's what it feels like to me. The more I do the gratitude, the more I feel the unconditional love for things around me. and just what an amazing, wonderful place that we live in, and even our bodies, just it that connection and that awareness that gratitude brings is, it's funny. When I first started doing the gratitude ceremony, I thought, you know what, I was doing the morning, the sunrise, and then I thought, at night before I go to bed, I'm going to just start writing some things I'm grateful for. And I'm just going to start with 5 things, just 5 things. And then it was like, I start writing, and then it was 50 things. Like, wait a minute, I'm just going to do 5 things. And uh, just the energy of gratitude, it just feels so good. And it's like almost turning the faucet on for love. It's just turning it on and basking yourself with it. And it's not something that we're really taught to do. Except for in the Kutasa teachings, that's what we learn. And then it becomes a habit. And then it becomes a way of living and a way of seeing. So that's been my experience with gratitude. And I'm sure there's more I could probably add to that, but I'll let Laura join in. Thank you so much for the teaching, Kay.
Oh, that was beautiful, Laura. And Kay, awesome. It's so cool. When you wrote the bullet points, and even when we recently in the Weaving Book Club went over that bullet point, I still had the question kind of in the back of my mind, why sacred forgiveness and sacred gratitude was bullet pointed together. Why were these 2 things together? And listening to you talk, and even what Laura just said, it both when in sacred ways. And I should maybe step back, because our family was very much always say thank you, always be grateful. It was part of that, very Christian, be humble. It didn't have the energy what we talk about in Kutasa. But I remember growing up, my mom, we didn't have much, but my mom, when we would all start fighting, would have this make us start counting our blessings in her way. Count your blessings. What are you thankful for? And of course, we would start out grumpy. I'm grateful for this and I'm grateful for that, but she would keep us going. And when you kind of had to dig deeper and find something else, because mom wouldn't relent, you kind of started shifting. And even before Kutasa, I realized when you shift into gratitude, it changes your whole being and everything around you. And then when studying with UK, and learning the sacredness, and today and understanding how much of the, maybe other than those slight moments when we shifted, when my mom was doing her practice, my gratitude wasn't felt. And you talking about feeling the forgiveness and feeling the gratitude, it's in when we feel it, express it, when we're actually feeling it or experiencing it felt instead of just said. I'm the type that says sorry every time I bump into anybody, without even thinking. And so in the process of shifting my habits, and actually feeling the gratitude and feeling the forgiveness, as Laura said just a moment ago, it connects us to that unconditional love. It suddenly gives us this opportunity to access more of us, tap into the connection of everything, feeling love and gratitude. You can't help but feel connected. Forgiving things, you can't help but feel connected. And so it was like this, I get it now. I guess that's my long answer to, like, after your talk today, and kind of it's taken me a bit, but I get I mean, I've been experiencing since studying Kutasa and doing these ceremonies with you, the sacredness and the power, the immense power of gratitude, using it as a manifesting tool, calling the things I want into my life by showing gratitude, by thanking things for being in my life that aren't even here yet, but reaching out and seeing, being grateful for this beautiful world and seeing my world become beautiful, and doing in the reverse, forgiving, is just these two tools are the most freeing, thing that I've experienced in so much of the things that we've studied with you, Kay and Katasi. So I love the word sacred in front of them. Thank you.
You touched on a word that it certainly doesn't say the whole thing of what gratitude and forgiveness are, but when we do them and we're doing them earnestly, deeply, with our feelings, we're feeling and feeling and feeling with everything that we can. Those ceremonies bring a real freedom. You mentioned freeing. It's freeing. It's very freeing because you're becoming free from the dark entanglements that you created since you were born into this lifetime. And getting rid of all those dark entanglements, all that corruption, that negativity, that's real freedom. And we hear that word, publicly a great deal right now with the elections coming up and all these different factions of people talking about the politics, the economics, how we've just been losing more and more freedom through the millennia, through the centuries, through the decades, in this century. And it's happening fast enough and dramatically enough that we all see it around us. And this is just the outward expression of the old world, the old upside down, backwards turning wheel world that's breaking up. That's what it's an expression of. This, it's dying, it's leaving, and we're becoming more and more free on the outside. And we're going to see a few bumps in the road on the physical level with the freedom, but it has to ride on top of the spiritual freedom. It's one and the same thing, and it has to be birthed out of the spiritual freedom. And that's why the spirits wanted this miracle, this book, the weavings and the weaving ceremonies to come into being. And that means the pipes that are used in the weaving ceremony. You don't have to smoke them with tobacco if or with anything. If you don't like the smoke, you don't do that. But it's the gestures and the symbols that are on the pipe, both pipes, and what they mean. And as you're as you're following that Native American tradition, you're taking in the smoke and you hold it. Don't inhale it, but you hold it and you blow it out on the sacred objects, on the sacred fire, on the sacred plants, on the sacred people, on the sacred spirits, on the you blow it out to the whole cosmos, to the field, the whole sacred field. And it's a series of gestures that help you understand and perceive and experience these spirit senses. Because with these pipes, this is how these ancestors, this is one of the ways that they talked with their spirit friends. They could feel them. They sensed them. They knew where they were there. They could hear them. Sometimes they could see them. They interacted with them all the time, and they would ask for their help. They would give their gratitude, their thanks, ask for forgiveness, and the pipe was always a very big, important part of these gestures, this communication. It's a communication tool. It's like, it's like their smartphone. They talk to anybody with the pipe. You can reach anybody. And something like that is a sacred object. And that the ancients found a great deal of value in sacred objects. And they're different for the different cultures that they came from. But they all have the same purpose and the same process and the same ability to help people connect the physical to the spiritual, to be able to perceive the spirits, to wake up their spirit gifts, their senses. People talk a lot about spirit gifts, and they want to follow a spiritual path because they want the spirit gifts. They want the fancy stuff. Well, it just doesn't happen like that. You can't just jump into it and say, I want that fancy spirit gift ability to be able to do that fancy thing or teleport myself or have telepathy or things like that. These are things that we have the ability to perceive and experience. It's not just like looking at a picture, but it's jumping into the middle of the action of the picture and experiencing whatever's going on. When you're doing gratitude, you're doing forgiveness and just unconditional love and doing song ceremony. You're moving your awareness, spreading your awareness, and letting it open up into experiencing all these incredible things that we've been blocking out of our lives for so long. But that's what we're capable of. That's who we are. Do you have something to say?
Not much to add here. Beautiful. Thank you all. Thanks everybody for joining. The one thing I can say is that my feeling is that forgiveness and gratitude have kind of the highest priority on this list. This is almost like what it starts with. If we want to build a new world, this is what we need to learn to integrate into our way of life first. And as in my gratitude ceremony, this is always a big picture. There's forgiveness being like a way of life around the world for people, and walking in gratitude being a way of life around the world for people. And then it's kind of like you start with that and then you go from there. So that's what I would add.
Good words. Good words. When we had our big weaving ceremony, in one of the rounds, the spirits took me around the planet and the web, and was showing me different spots. And we went to the Middle East and above to Ukraine, Russia, that whole area there. And of course, there was a lot more darkness in there. Got wars going on there, so there was more nastiness to see than in other places around the web. And instead of doing my usual form of healing on that area of the web, what they told me to do is just send love to the whole area, everything that where there were wars going on, and all this stressy stuff going on. And they had me repeat gratitude, forgiveness, peace, love, beauty. Forgetting which one comes next.
Self-sovereignty.
Self-sovereignty and freedom. So they gave me that list and just said, radiate that, say the words, broadcast the words, sing into those fibers, into those areas, and into the land and the air and the people, saturate the whole web with those words. And the first two, the forgiveness and the gratitude. That just made a huge experiential difference. The experience of it, and how it altered the land itself, and the air, and the space, and the people, and the buildings, and the thought forms that have been there. Some of those thought forms, my goodness, they've been there for thousands of years, and they've just been fed and fed, and with negative ideas and suspicion and hate and violence, and like violence to everything is the only answer, and that kind of energy, thought forms that were there, and that they just melted away. So I thought that was particularly interesting that they picked that.
Another beautiful talk. Thank you, guys.
Oh my goodness, we are right on time.
Yep. Any thoughts? Any other thoughts?
We
All
have
right.
I'm sorry. My one other thought was in our YouTube channel, I think there is information about the gratitude ceremony or another lecture on the gratitude ceremony. So if you search gratitude within this YouTube station, you should find, I think Kay's done both a lecture on forgiveness and gratitude that we've done in the last few months that are really good to listen to also.
Don't we have some gratitude ceremonies that have been recorded and available to the public?
It gets a bit more complicated because doing ceremonies on YouTube is a bit tricky. Because people listen in their cars on to YouTube things.
Oh, that's right.
You don't want
But
to.
they-
You don't want to be in the driving behind the wheel and do ceremonies like that.
no.
No.
But there are some beautiful lectures on our station. This station is packed with some great other lectures if you want to follow a beautiful rabbit hole.
All right, we good?
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for joining us live, whoever is here. And for those watching later, thanks for taking the time and listening to this beautiful talk again. Questions, put them in the comments. If you want to learn more about the book, there's a link in the comments as well. And about all our work, there's a link there too. All right, we see you next week. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Love you.
Thank you, everybody, and all the audience. Thank you, everybody. I love you.